Hello, everybody. It's Robert Goldberg here, First Amendment TV. I'm with Nick Papora from Eagle on the Air, and we're going to be doing some more upcoming segments with Nick on some things. But I saw posted on tpath.com
.org.
.org, an interesting article, and I called you up and wanted to get more about it. You're doing a show on the cable access channel, which it's a service up in North Jersey.
That is correct. You can get it on your internet just by going to studentsforabetterfuture.com and Eagle on the Air. That
Okay.
show will pop up, and
And from what I'm seeing in this, you're very disturbed at what you're going to be talking about on Thursday. Can you give us a little synopsis of what's going to be?
well, disturbed is not the word.
Okay.
Frightened is the word.
All right.
I'm frightened I'm frightened for my country, my children, my grandchildren. What I'm going to reveal on Thursday evening will it's shocking. It's too shocking. We have three incidents here. Right now we have an Ebola crisis. And yet the man that's occupying the White House will not close our airports, will not close our borders. He came out with a statement that he has to protect Africa. Excuse me. His duty is to protect the United States of America. And what is really frightening on this, it looks like Mr. Obama's looking to cause a crisis here. And what do you mean a crisis? What do I mean by a crisis? Well, isn't this the administration who says we never let a crisis go unwasted? We won't let a crisis.
Well, isn't that the Democrats' motto? Don't let a good crisis go to waste.
And that's
To
exactly
take
what they're
advantage
doing.
of people's demise or pain in a way to benefit their success.
Well, not benefit their success, to further their goal. And what is really, really frightening here, I was the one who brought the most comprehensive lawsuit in the United States against Obamacare. And I would say, categorically, we won that lawsuit in the district court because the government forfeited 4 times. And then we went to the circuit court, where Obama's judges, who had no authority to be on the case, ruled against us.
Now, why do you say they have no authority to be on the case?
Well, because of the U.S. Code. Code 4, I think it's Section 28, Section 455, where if you have an interest in the outcome of a case, you cannot rule upon that case. So we had 2 judges there, Vanatsky, I think it was Goldberg, that were appointed by Obama.
No relation.
No relations to current Goldberg. Greenberg, I think it was. Maybe I'm mistaken. But they ruled on this case and ignored it, and ignored 19 violations of the Constitution. Pretty interesting. That's a story we should do on its own.
And we will.
But I think we should, because right now even the Pacific Legal Foundation is doing a story, bringing a case against Obamacare, using most of what we had in our point 1, except leaving out the most important part, that was the fraud. But let's get away from that because I could go into it. But the reason since I wrote, with myself and Donald Lasta, the case against Obamacare, one of the points we brought up of the 19 violations of the Constitution was the illegal army. It's called the Ready Reserve Corps that Mr. Obama inserted. I believe it was inserted 24 hours before they signed the bill.
Now, why does nobody know about this illegal army?
Well, the thing is, we have a very ignorant society, and we have a lapdog press. Now, in there, we have judges from the district court, circuit court, and the United States Supreme Court that ignored this army. Now, what do I say? He doesn't have authorization. And why do I say it's unconstitutional? Very simple. Article 1, I think it is, Section 8, Paragraph 12, says that you can only fund an army or an army corps for 2 years. That's the only amount of money you could appropriate for it. Mr. Obama's people, very brilliant they are, but they funded it for 4 years. And what really is strange, this particular section of the healthcare bill, I think it's 203, and there's, well, you'll see it all tomorrow evening, the two sections. It does away with the Posse Comitatus Act. In fact, this army of Mr. Obama's, this illegal army, can come into your state without government's permission, take over your National Guard, close off everything, and create martial law overnight. Now, can he do this alone? No. No, this started, this was brilliant, which I'll go over sections tomorrow evening. But when you crisscross this, or let's say, put it in conjunction with an executive order that came out on March 16, 2012, it's totally frightening. I think the executive order number is 13603. Now, if anyone reads this, they're going to have to be sort of like a genius. But thank God there's a book out called They Fired the First Shot, 2012, which is the most informative book I've ever read about this administration. And how we're really in martial law at this very, as we're speaking. Now, when you combine that executive order with the healthcare bill, folks, welcome to Russia. Even the Russians couldn't, they would be proud. Hitler is jumping, as he's shoveling coal down there, is jumping up and down. Because this makes Hitler look like an amateur. And so you ask me why I'm going to this, to reveal it.
Now, when you refer to Hitler, because a lot of people only know Hitler's evil side of ordering people killed, but you're referring to Hitler on how he organized his...
Wow, brilliantly. Just, this is all by design. Now, Hitler had the Enabling Act, so everything Hitler did was legal. Well, lo and behold, the Obama administration is making every illegal act legal. We have no constitution, folks.
By his own executive order?
Well, yes, this executive order is really interesting because what it does, it abrogates previous executive orders that don't coincide with the sections of this executive order. It is so complicated because when you go through it, it'll say, well, see section A through Z in executive order XYZ. And if you take number 17, executive order, and you incorporate this in it, I mean, it's gobbledygook. But the gobbledygook is well defined.
Because it has you running around in circles?
It has you running around in circles. But when we give you the definitions tomorrow night, and we tell you the power that is being wielded by this administration, lock the doors, folks. Lock the doors and really get on your knees and you pray that Congress gets a hold of what we're revealing and nullifies immediately. I think it was count 3 of my brief in the healthcare brief about the Reserve Army, which is unconstitutional. But the hoodlums in black robes refuse to address it. They ignore their fiduciary duty. The executive order, nobody knows about. In reality, you ask anybody about, oh, it just played around with the old executive orders. No. Brilliantly, brilliantly done. In fact...
And that's where you refer to Hitler. A lot of people say he's a madman, and me, being a Jew, said he was brilliant because he convinced millions of people to follow his sick ideology.
Absolutely.
So a mentally ill person can't do that.
No. No, this is all by design. And what's really interesting, Robert, is how they got this executive order put into place, signed, and not a whimper from your press. What? Not a whimper from Congress that loses completely all their authority. It's like the Reichstag.
Well, if the press is along with him,
Well, the press covered up the executive order.
Well, they have their agenda wide. They
No,
support
no.
him, don't
Even
they?
even in this, the press would have been very nervous. Even in this, but it was so well thought out.
Well, I
Brilliant.
want to get to the point because we know the press is not doing a lot of things. Why would the press be mad about this and they're not
Because
talking
here's
about
what
it?
they did. Here's what they did. The order was signed, and I'm going to repeat this tomorrow night for the audience. On March 16th, 2012, at 5 o'clock. The press, all running home. Congress, all running to the bar before they go home. So who was there? No one. So you say, well, they'll pick it up Monday morning. Normally they would. Normally Congress would have looked at it Monday morning. So would have the press. Except for one thing. On March 19, 2012, what was the headline in every single newspaper in the United States? Trayvon Martin, poor little boy that could be Obama's son, was shot by Mr. Zimmerman. You know, this white Hispanic, I don't know what that is. Just a good man who helped blacks
Well,
and
he
everybody
threw
else.
two races under the bus by labeling it white Hispanic.
Of course he did. He knows what he's doing. He's dividing us as a people. But here's the thing. March 19th, all the press is covering is Trayvon Martin and Zimmerman, but not the executive order that was signed on Friday, the 16th of March. But does anyone out there know when the Trayvon Martin case actually happened? Go back. Look at the record. It was in February. I think it was around February 26th or something. Why was it all over the press on Monday morning, March 19th? Doesn't that tell you something? Are we wagging the dog's tail? Are we covering up? Are we diverting the attention away from the most dangerous executive order ever issued in the United States of America? Find out Thursday night. Because when you do find out, you're going to shudder. Now with Ebola, and the health care bill, and the executive order, wow, we have a crisis. We have a national emergency, even though it's not a national emergency. We have a regular emergency. You're going to discover that he doesn't need a national emergency to call martial law. Find out Thursday night. In fact, find out when it hits you too. Ladies and gentlemen, I am frightened. Should I be scared because I'm bringing this to your attention? I'm more scared for the future of America. My children, my grandchildren, our freedom. I mean, we're going to be relegated to slaves. This makes 1984 look like kindergarten. As I said, and as it said in the book, there's no more demons in hell. They're all here.
And there's more I would like to ask you, but I know then what good is people watching the show Thursday night?
Oh, they want to hear
and
it.
it's on someone else's network, so I will give them their due time and their
What
their
kind of
respect
question
to
would you
that.
ask?
Well, what would martial law look like in this country?
What would martial law?
Yeah, you know,
I'm going to make you one quick one.
the reason I ask that because we are so free in a certain way that we think we are most people, but they
You're
don't
not
realize we are restricted to certain things.
Do you
What would
ever-
he make martial law look like in this country? Is that something you want to tell me now, or do we do a follow up
I
after
think
your
we
story?
should do a follow-up.
So I want to be
will-
respectful to your story coming out on
I will
Thursday
just
night.
say this, one point. Okay? They'll even tell you where to walk. This is by design. This is by design. I'll say this. This particular executive order, in combination with any little crisis that he decides is a crisis, and the health care bill, brings about your one world order. Oh, there he goes, conspiracy. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. But if the United States falls,
Well, if you were, would you admit it?
There's a conspiracy
Well,
here.
the people say you're conspiracy theory because it sounds so astronomical,
It's too
so
shocking.
ridiculous that
I've read it more than once. I've studied it. I've looked at it. And each time, I'm in more and more shock. But the real shock comes, where's Congress? What the hell are they doing? Besides giving themselves a raise last year, what are they doing for the money they're given? How can we have so many socialists and communists in our government? Why? Because of education. And that's another topic we'll get into. That's because we've dumbed down our society. That's because we've allowed a government to divide us. Divide and conquer. This is where we stand in this country. Oh, I hate him, he's black. I hate him, he's white. I hate him, he's yellow. Folks, we're in trouble. Because we've never locked arms, as Martin Luther King said. We've never marched together and said, hey, no more. You can't take away my freedom. And Mr. Obama, you may think you own this country, but there's enough of us old suckers out there that are not going to give up our freedom as easy as you think. We're not going to give up our God as easy as you think. We're not going to give up our religions. No. We're not going to give up our weapons. No. We have a constitution. Your executive orders have no legitimacy. Any law that violates the Constitution of the United States, any treaty that violates the Constitution of the United States, any legislation, whether it be state or federal, that violates the Constitution of the United States is null and void. Read your Constitution. But you've dumbed down our society. And I pray, I pray that everyone out there prays that we create some critical thinking among us as a people and come together as a people and say, hey, we are the greatest country in the world. We are exceptional. We're an exceptional people because we have become that melting pot. For 150 years, we were the greatest nation in the world. To you communists, yes, you're communist, you change your name and you say you're progressives. Progressivism is communism. It's fascism.
well, they're using the word liberal too now.
Oh, liberalism? No, there's a difference between a liberal. I can respect a liberal, a classic liberal, who will argue with you and debate with you and look for the facts. I could never respect the progressive because it's my way or I'm going to ridicule you, I'm going to scream, and I'm going to use sophistry. A liberal will argue the point. I'm not going to knock our liberals in our country. I'm going to knock the Democrat Party, which is the Communist Party. They said themselves they don't need a platform. The Democrat Party has our platform. And that's not the Democrat voter. This is not the Democratic Party of their daddies, their granddaddies.
It's not the Democrat Party of JFK.
No. Okay, he'd be called a right-wing radical. He could never be in the Democrat Party. Excuse me. And the Republicans? They're no better. They're no better. The 65% of independents out there are still scratching their head. Folks, we're in trouble. And I ask you, before I end this little blurb on what's going to take place, is get on your knees. Pray. Go to your synagogues. Go to your churches. Go to and pray that we wake up that brain dead group of Congress. How dare them? If they're being blackmailed, and I know you are, a lot of you, resign like a man and let a man take your place. Get out of that. Get out of their way. Protect you think you're going to be in power forever? Do you think, well, I'm Congressman, I'm powerful, or I'm a judge, I'm powerful? No! You're getting old, you're going to die, just like all of us. And guess what? What about your children and grandchildren? Are they going to fill your boots? I don't think so. You may have money, but, you know.
What happens when the money runs out?
What happens when government just takes over? And I have one thing to leave you with. History. Has a socialist country ever survived? Has a communist country ever survived? Have the people been free in any of them? Can you name one success? Not one, folks. We are a free society. Let's keep it free and get those brain-dead reprobates in Congress to nullify not only the health care bill, because that was the nail in the coffin, but to nullify the executive orders. They have no standing. Read your Constitution. God bless you, and till tomorrow.
And we will follow this up after your show because I'm going to have more questions to ask.
I'll be happy to
and
answer
more
them.
things to follow up. Well, you have no choice in the matter because
Are you on?
we're in Obama's regime. So you will answer my questions or else.
Oh, wait. Oh, excuse me. I don't know. I wonder what the new salute's going to be. I'm really curious.
Well, we know what his library looks like. It's an outhouse.
Well,
Later,
thank you.
folks.
Thank you very much.